We're getting a little spicy.
I like spicy.
If you had to surprise your partner, would you show up in lingerie or would you show up in a trench coat with nothing underneath?
So just like relationships, do you think that at some point it's good to have like check-ins with your friend to see where you guys are? Hey y'all, welcome to the From Surviving to Thriving podcast. You know, the place where we take the veil off and pull the curtains back on our everyday lives. I'm your host, Jackie. In this week's episode, since it's about to be Valentine's week, we're going to talk a little bit about relationships, dating, and friendships. Because, you know, relationships are not only about romantic relationships, we also need to think about the platonic relationships. Normally, I do this by myself, as you guys know. But this week, I have a special guest with me. I have my friend Renee, who I've known for the last 11 years. She's joining me for this super special episode. Renee and I have been friends since I lived in Georgia back in 2014. I met her at a very vulnerable place. I was in a very vulnerable place in my life when I met her, and she's been a super great friend, very supportive. And as the first guest on From Surviving to Thriving, please welcome my friend, Renee.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm actually very honored that you asked me to be a part of your podcast.
Aw, yeah, I feel like since the inception of the podcast, even before I told anyone else that I was going to do a podcast, you and I spoke about it. So to me, I kind of felt like it was just natural for us to be the first ones to do an episode together.
We were brainstorming and bouncing ideas back and forth. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's not waste any time. Let's talk about Valentines, because you know it's February and y'all see the theme. It's all about love. We got our red on. So let's do a little Valentine's Day check, just so I can get an idea of how you feel about Valentine's. So Valentine's Day tends to bring out some strong opinions. It's either people really like it or they don't like it at all. Where do you stand?
I feel like I'm kind of in the middle. I don't have a strong reaction either way. However, if I am typically like in a relationship, like partnered up with someone, I'm not going to put a big amount of pressure on this day. I prefer to show my partner that I love them throughout the whole year. So one day is not going to make or break anything.
For sure.
But I think it is a little cutesy day to show like your friends, your family, your loved ones that you care about them, even if it's just something simple and small.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I like Valentine's Day because I want to get some flowers. I want to feel loved on. So, you know, if I am in a relationship, I do feel like my partner can take some initiative, you know, bring me some roses. Girls like flowers. You like flowers, don't you?
I do. And if anyone would like to bring me flowers on Valentine's Day, you're welcome to bring them to my doorstep or send them to my house. Thank you.
All right. So on that note, what is the best or the worst Valentine's Day experience that you've ever had?
I would say probably the biggest one. This is kind of throwing it back a little bit. I was in high school, and my high school boyfriend at the time went above and beyond. Like, he sent flowers to my school, and they were delivered during, like, my lunch period. I was a little bit embarrassed, honestly. With a huge, like, teddy bear. I feel like there was balloons. He sent a huge card, like, not one of those regular cards, like,
the gigantic
huge
one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he took me out to dinner that night. He gave me a diamond necklace.
Where he get all his money from? In high school.
I was wondering the same thing. And then I also feel like he put money in the card maybe or something. And we just had a great time. It was kind of like puppy love. So it was fun. But in my adult life, I haven't had any bad experiences. Thank God.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really had, like when I was in a relationship for Valentine's Day, I don't think I've had any bad experiences. It's usually the typical, maybe we need to start like having these guys that we are with do some extravagant stuff. Because I feel like I always either go to dinner, I get flowers, or I've gotten a plant, which is great because I love plants.
Me too. Plant day.
Yes. But I don't know. I haven't got anything that was like extravagant where it just stood out. It was mostly just regular. And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
Because again, we don't need to put too much emphasis on just that one single day. It's more so about them overall anyway. So
yeah. I would say now too in my adult life, I value experiences more. Mm-hmm. So I would like skip if I had to choose, like if it's one or the other, like skip the flowers, skip all of that other stuff. But like let's go do something that neither of us have ever done and experience this together. Like that to me is fun, and I feel like making memories, that's gonna last longer than any Valentine's gift that you gave me, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, I like gifts, but like I would rather go experience something for the first time. So yeah,
I could agree with that. I do value experiences a lot. I think the older I get, the less emphasis is on possessions. It's more so the time spent and things like that. So I agree with that.
I would agree. Yeah, for sure.
So if you could plan the perfect Valentine's, whether it's with a romantic person or even a platonic friendship, like a galentine, what would that look like for you?
Is money an object, or are we just dreaming here?
I mean, we could go either way. If you want to go all out, go all out. Let's go.
Okay. If I'm partnered up, I want to go on a vacation somewhere.
Okay.
Preferably somewhere that neither of us have been, so we can both experience it for the first time. But if not, if they've been there before and they want to show me around, cool, love that. If a beach is involved, I'm there. If it's on an island, yes, perfect. In terms of galentines, though, I either would want to do something like really cozy and intimate at my house. And I mean, at this point, I have friends that live in Jamaica and other parts of the country, so they're not close anymore. So if I have the means to fly them all in for this cozy night where they don't have to worry about anything, because you know we have friends that are moms too, they don't have to worry about their children, their husbands, their partners. They come and they get just doted on. Ooh. So like a spa type thing, like if I had massage therapists come, I'd probably also have some people doing like energetic healing.
Love it.
So even like some Reiki stuff, or you know, kind of in that realm. Foot massages. For sure. Have some aromatherapy going to set the mood. And then have like a private chef cook us a wonderful meal with several courses. And so like we don't have to lift a finger. Like we are just being treated like queens the entire time. I would love to do that for
Can you hurry up and like get rich or something?
I mean, that's the plan.
Because I'm all for this galentine.
Yeah, as I talk about it, it's like, oh my God, I'm envisioning it right now. This is, give me a couple years.
Cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about dating in 2025. Yeah, I know things have definitely changed from when we were younger.
Yes.
I feel like dating is not the same. Now we've introduced some new things like dating apps.
Yes.
Situationships. I don't even know. Is that a word?
We're making it
a word today.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like a situationship, but just with texting. Yeah.
Ghosting.
So,
since you haven't been in a relationship, have you been dating, and what's your experience like in 2025 or 24 since 25 just started?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, I did not date at all in 2024.
Ooh.
I really took some time away from all of that just to kind of focus on myself.
Mhm.
I did, however, date myself during that time
Okay.
because I feel like my requirements and needs have changed. And so every once in a while, I feel like you need to kind of check in with yourself to see, okay, what are my boundaries? What do I want out of my next relationship? I'm a big believer in like you have to visualize it and see it before it can happen. So if I'm kind of really narrowing down the qualities of the person that I'd like to date and some of the things that I would like in my relationship, I feel like it'll be easier when I do meet that person to actually do those things. Do I text here and there? Of course. Do I still entertain some DMs? Yes.
Are you in a situationship?
I am not.
Okay.
Because if you're staying in my text or DMs, then that's where you're staying until there's some real life, real world action.
Gotcha.
And intention. So yeah, there's a couple things in the works, but like I said, they're staying there for now.
Have you been on any dating apps?
No. Well, not...
In the past?
In the past, I have.
Okay.
When I first moved to Georgia, it's probably around the time that we kind of met each other.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anyone here. I didn't have any family. And some of my friends were like, why don't you join Tinder? You don't necessarily have to use it for dating, but just to meet people.
Did any dates come out of it at all?
Yes. If I can remember, because keep in mind, this is 10 plus years ago now. I did go on, I think at least several dates with one person, but one date with another. So 2 different people I did decide to meet outside of the app. What's your experience? Have you used dating apps?
I've tried dating apps in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but what I've realized about myself is that I'm not really a dater.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I've realized I don't know how to date. I know that sounds crazy.
No, I can relate to that.
I've been the type of person that I meet someone
Mm-hmm.
and it's either we click or we don't click. And typically if we click and the chemistry is there, we're in a relationship after that.
One and done.
Yep.
We go
You're
together. My man now.
We go together real bad. So that's how my date. I mean, then again, I've not had that many relationships either.
Yeah.
And that's the reason. Now, when I moved to Georgia as well, I was on a dating app. I don't even remember because it's been so long.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember trying to go on dates. One of them, I actually met someone that I'm still like friends with. Like we're cooler,
Mm-hmm.
like we're social media friends, I should say. But it was a Jamaican guy, and I never date Jamaicans before. Okay, because yeah. But it was a Jamaican guy, and we literally only went out like a couple of times. So to me, I really don't even feel like we dated. It was more like friendship, hanging out kind of thing, because nothing ever happened between us. But great guy, still cool with him now. You know, we haven't spoken in a really long time, but I feel like if anything, friendships can come out of dating apps more than anything else, honestly.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's the good side of dating apps. I mean, I've definitely heard some horror stories.
Girl, I have one.
Do you want to share your dating app horror story?
Sure, because it was so long ago. This is one of the dates that I went on, one of the dates that I chose to go on. He presented himself as being very nice, very kind. He, at the time, played basketball overseas, but this was kind of like his base, so he was in between like contracts or whatever. And he had asked me several times to go out. And finally I agreed to it because I was like, okay, what's the harm in this? Of all places, we went to Cheesecake Factory.
Controversy.
Yeah. And Keep in mind, I did not know this man except through this dating app and texting. I think we had talked on the phone a few times. I'd never met him in person up to this point. I'd only seen pictures, so I don't know what his typical demeanor is. So we meet there, and very nice meeting. We go inside. I find out pretty quickly this man is drunk. Like, he had been drinking before we even met up.
Oh, wow.
He also was drinking on the date. Like, I think he ordered like 2 beers, which is fine. Like, I think I ordered a drink too, but he's sucking down the beers and he doesn't order any food. So I'm thinking, wait, you asked me to come out to dinner. I'm still gonna eat. I'm hungry. We agreed to a dinner date. Like, let's eat. He said that he ate before, but he's drinking the beers, like I said. The bill comes. He grabs it from me so fast when the server sets it down on the table. He puts money into the check thing. Like, I physically see him put cash in there. In the meantime, I go to use the bathroom before we leave. I come back and I go and check. I was like, oh, did they bring you your change? Because he put quite a bit in there. He snatched that thing back so fast, like as if he was trying to hide something from me. So that made me want to see even more. The server never came, and he took all of the cash out of there, and we were basically gonna like dine and dash. And I didn't know that I was a part of it at first. I was so embarrassed. Exactly. I wanted to crawl into a hole. I took the check. I went up to our server, because he was also rude to our server the entire time.
Wow.
That was embarrassing for me. Like, that's horrible. So I go and pay the bill and then leave. He is starting to apologize to me, this and that. You didn't have to pay it. I was gonna pay it. This and that, making all these excuses. Long story short, we're in the parking lot. I'm walking to my car, and he starts to kind of turn on me and starts basically insulting me. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm getting in my car and leaving. It was really unfortunate because this man was very fine, but clearly he was not well mentally.
Like he was inebriated too.
Yes, so. It definitely played a part into it. So yeah, worst date ever, but also that formed my opinion on dating apps as well. So safe to say I got off there very quickly after that.
Okay, so if there's any red flags that you could think of to look out for when it comes to dating and dating apps, what would you say to look for?
I feel like if you're still in the talking stages and there's certain things that you're kind of like, that doesn't sound right, or, like your intuition is kind of letting you know something, I say follow that. A lot of times we kind of brush that aside and move forward to go on these dates, and then we're disappointed or these crazy things happen. But yeah, trust your gut when it comes to certain things. I also think too, if someone is very like argumentative at the beginning talking stage, a red flag for me. I'm out. Checked out. So in the beginning stages, you're asking questions to the person. If they don't ask you any questions and they're just basically talking at you, I check out, because you're not interested in me at all. You're just listing your qualifications or what you think I would like to hear. But at the end of the day, to have interest, like, there needs to be
mutual.
Yeah, we need to converse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You share some, I share some.
Exactly. So what are your red flags? Because I feel like you probably have a couple.
Red flags. I mean, I feel like they're, just from my dating app experience, I've left a date if they were like over 15, 20 minutes late. Like, I don't like to be late for things. So time for me is very important. Yeah. So if you're going to keep me waiting on our first date, like the first time I'm meeting you, that's not a good sign. Now, obviously, if there's a reason, then I can be, understanding, but at least communicating what's going on is important. So I've definitely left. I remember like dating app experiences in Georgia and I get it, Georgia is full of traffic, but if I can prioritize and get there ahead of time, just so you're not waiting either, you could do the same.
Yeah, if you live in Atlanta, you know about the traffic and you know you have to plan your life around
Exactly.
it.
Like, pick a different time. If you feel like it's too, granted, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is.
Yeah,
Georgia's traffic is Georgia's traffic. But, I feel like if I'm putting the effort in to get there and be there, you could do the same. There's no excuses. So I wait 15 minutes and I've left.
I think that's a good rule of thumb, the 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Unless you deem it worthy to wait longer, but 15.
No.
Yeah. And then I'm going to think that you don't value my time as well.
To me, time is more that's the most expensive currency that we have.
Yeah.
So if you can't even value that, then how am I going to expect you to value other things? Mm-hmm. So, big red flag. All right. So we're going to do some would you rather questions.
Okay.
Relationship edition. First question. Would you rather be with someone who is emotionally available but struggles with commitment, or someone who's fully committed but struggles with emotional vulnerability?
Oh, okay. This is an interesting question. Because immediately I thought I was going to choose the first one. They're emotionally available but not willing to commit necessarily. But I feel like the second option, they're very willing to commit, but it might just take them longer to open up and be vulnerable with you.
Which would you rather?
I think probably the second one. Because I think the commitment is the first choice to actually building a partnership with someone. You have to be committed to the process and what that looks like. I myself am very guarded as well, so I can understand struggling with vulnerability and showing all my cards from jump. So, yeah, I feel like we can work on that together.
I agree. I definitely feel like I would rather have the person who's emotionally unavailable, because that's something that I feel like you can work on, because like you said, I myself have struggled with vulnerability. So that's something you can fix. Being committed nowadays, I don't know if that's something that somebody could just easily fix. I feel like it is a choice, it is a decision, but some people struggle with that a lot worse than others. So I would want somebody that's going to commit to me, and then we can work on the emotional side after.
Yeah, because I feel like that takes time anyways. If you're building something long lasting, and not even just romantic, like a romantic partnership. This is with friendships as well.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell them your whole life story. Well, I mean, some people do, but most likely you're not going to spill everything about yourself. You're not even going to have time to. So it takes time to build, and you have to go through some just life experiences to be able to share other parts of yourself with that friend or romantic partner.
That's true. Number 2.
Okay.
Would you rather always have deep, meaningful conversations in your relationship, but no physical intimacy? Or have incredible physical intimacy, but struggle to connect emotionally? So you have that physical connection, the chemistry is there physically, but emotionally it's not, or the other way around.
Wow. Okay. I want both. I don't want to pick.
You have to pick one.
I want us to have a very deep, great, intimate relationship and also have the physical part on point. I don't want to have to pick, but if I did. I would probably say have the deep, intimate conversations, and not as, I don't want to say not even as compatible, but maybe we're just not hitting it off physically at first. Because I do feel like you can learn your partner over time and, talk about that and communicate through that.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience too, I feel like a lot of times when you do have a deep connection with someone emotionally, it automatically helps out the physical because you already have that bond.
Mm-hmm.
So I've also had it on the flip side though, where I had great chemistry with someone and we were not hitting it off emotionally, and I could not share my feelings, or probably vice versa. They probably couldn't share deeper parts of themselves with me. It only goes so far.
Which was worse?
I mean, short term, the physical is of course fun, but it's gonna fizzle out, and eventually you're going to want more. Or at least for myself, I'm going to want more. Like, for me to even have a friendship with someone, like a true deeper friendship, it's gonna have to go deeper. So yeah, I'm gonna have to pick the first one.
Okay.
What about you? Don't skip over that question. You need to answer that one. Wow.
No, seriously. I do feel like having an emotional connection with someone is way more important to me, because you can learn each other physically later.
Yeah.
And regardless of what people say, like, I do feel like people that, like, I've known people who wasn't physically attracted to their partner initially, and that grew over time, but that connection was there to begin with. So I feel like if that person can connect with me on a deeper level, I could look past, like, oh, we might not be physically compatible at first, but we could figure it out. Because I feel like physical is just, you just got to learn the person.
Yeah. Well, okay, I have a follow-up question to this.
Unless there's some lacking in some things. But
okay.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your follow-up?
Well, okay, my follow-up is, since we both picked the first one, say 2 years down the line, you really have a great connection emotionally with this person. The pieces still aren't clicking physically, though. Where do you go from there?
I feel like physical intimacy can vary depending on who your partner is.
Yes.
So there's a lot of ways to incorporate things that can make that intimacy better. So maybe, I don't want to get too crazy, but maybe introducing some other things in that area could help with the physical part. Whereas I feel like it's not as easy to do with the emotional connection. You can do it with the physical, because there's just so much out there.
I also think you can kind of like intertwine the two. If you're in more of like an exploratory kind of journey, I feel like a lot of times the emotional and the physical can go hand in hand. And if you already have the emotional, it kind of makes that physical part easier because you're already like open and vulnerable with that person.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I've never been, but then again, I'm so picky with the people that I connect with on a physical level, that if I don't have an emotional connection to start with, there's never going to be a physical connection. So that's why I think it's a lot harder for me to even envision that, because typically I'm connecting with you emotionally, the chemistry is there, we can go deep, but the physical just comes naturally after we connect emotionally.
Same. We're very similar in that aspect. Yes.
Next question. Would you rather be with someone who is your soulmate, but you only have 10 years together, or be in a long-lasting, stable relationship with someone who isn't your soulmate?
I feel like this one's easy for me. Like soulmate, I think of like we are connected on such a deep level that nothing else would compare to it. Like if you believe in like other lifetimes, we've been together in other lifetimes kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, yes, even if it's just 10 years, yes, I'm choosing that every time.
Do you think you found your soulmate at all yet?
So, my idea of soulmates has changed over time.
Mhm.
At one point, yeah. And I even called them that, like, oh my God, this is my soulmate. Now looking back, I'm thinking, not quite.
Okay.
I think all of my relationships have absolutely like served a purpose at that point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for me, but for the other person. So we learned a lot from each other. I think I've met some of my soulmates because I do believe that friends also are your soulmates. So I do think I have a lot of my soulmates in my life. I don't think I've met my romantic soulmate just yet. Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we have romantic soulmates and platonic soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that I've met my soulmate. And the reason I say that is because it's a feeling that it's like a knowing,
Mm-hmm.
when you found that person. And regardless of what happens to that relationship, whether you stick with that person forever and ever and ever, or you separate for a time, or you come back together, whatever the situation is, I think when you've met that other part of you,
Mm-hmm.
because regardless, it's that connection can never die.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
And it's a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing at times when it's not working the way that it should.
Mm.
But irregardless, I think just being able to experience that in a lifetime
Mm-hmm.
is one of the feelings that I would never give up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I follow this one woman on Instagram, and she has like a fashion channel. She's over 50. She's fabulous.
Mhm.
And she met her partner like a couple years ago. So cute together. Like I love them. They were planning on getting married and he passed away. And she brought up the point of, because I think someone probably asked her, would you rather have not met him at all and not experienced that love? And she said, no, I would choose that every time in every lifetime because it was so life changing. And she was like, I still feel him around me now. Like, obviously, I miss him,
Mhm.
but I would never take that back. That was, he's such a special person. So I was just like,
I feel like when you've met your soulmate, I don't want to get emotional, like, because that's a pretty emotional story.
yeah.
Like, I feel like when you've met that person, it's it's a different experience that you can't explain to anyone
Yeah.
for them to really understand. So unless you're talking to someone that's experienced it, they can identify what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a friend who I know for a fact that this person is her soulmate, and she knows it. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
He knows it. They're not together, but they're each other's soulmate. And regardless of where they end up in life, regardless of what each of their situations bring, they will always be that for each other.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one that can ever take that person's place, no matter what either one of them do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like how, to me, that's how you know. Doesn't matter, distance, death, no one can ever replace that feeling, the way that that person connects with you. Nothing can change that.
What else got me thinking a little bit? It's reframing a couple things for me.
Mm-hmm.
and making me think about some things. So,
Okay. All right. Last question on this. Would you rather?
okay.
Would you rather have a partner who prioritizes you over everything else, even their own dreams, aspirations, or a partner who fiercely pursues their passion, even if sometimes that means putting your relationship on the back burner a little bit?
Neither. Find balance.
That would be ideal, but this is would you rather, so you have to pick one of these.
I definitely think I would pick the second one because part of what attracts me to someone to begin with is they are driven, they are motivated, they are dreaming and pursuing their dreams. That is attractive to me. And I would want them to also support me in doing that. I guess if I have to be put on the back burner, then it just gives me more time to pursue mine.
Yeah. I don't want to be the center of anyone's universe.
Oh God.
Like
no.
I know a lot of women like to be prioritized over everything.
Mhm.
But I also like my space.
Mhm.
I like to be able to pursue my own dreams and my own aspirations. I want to be able to get up and go somewhere and focus on myself for a little bit if I need to.
Yeah.
And I feel like if my partner is solely focused on me and what I'm about, when do I have me time?
Yeah, it doesn't leave a whole lot of room.
Right.
For that.
Like, I want you to go pursue what it is that you need to pursue to fulfill your life and your goals and your dreams. And then I can do the same, and we could do it like we can meet in the middle somewhere. Like, I don't need you to be over here all the time helping me pursue my dreams. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I get smothered very easily. So the funny thing is, did you see the interview that Cheryl Lee Ralph did?
I don't think so.
Oh, man, it resonated so much with me. All right, so she was talking about her marriage
Mm-hmm.
and how they operate. So her husband is married. Her husband's married. Her husband and her are married, but they live like the husband lives in like PA or something, and she lives in Cali. They're married. They live in different places. Her husband's in politics, and obviously she's in entertainment. She's an actress and stuff, but they see each other when they need to see each other. They live separate lives, but they're a functioning married couple. And when I saw the video, that like they each have their own houses, but you know, he comes to her house, she goes to his house. So I tend to feel like that's how I want to live my life. I don't mind my partner having their own space and me having my own space. Like growing up, I always envisioned like us having two houses or even a big enough house where I have my own quarters and my husband has his own, because I'm not a clingy person. I do not need you in my face all the time. I need space. I need to breathe. But when I need you, I need you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that sounds horrible, but that's how I envision my life.
It doesn't, and I think that you should do whatever works for you. So I don't know if I would be good with being states apart or even countries apart potentially. But I've always joked about if I was to get married or be in like a long-term partnership with someone, I could see us being in two separate houses right next to each other and have that little bridge that connects over the driveway. That's kind of ideal.
Yes.
And then you have your own space to do whatever you want. You know, you can do whatever you want with your house. And I'm going to do whatever I want with my house. You can still come over whenever you want. Literally walk across the bridge. We'll probably have dinner most every night together unless, you know, we have other plans. But I think that that's like healthy to have that space, unless it was like a large home. And yes, we do, like, I have my wing and you have your wing, and sometimes we can like meet in the middle kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very much like you in that sense. Like, I need a lot of me time, and not because I don't want to spend it with the other person. I just require that.
Yeah, I agree. That's so interesting. I never knew that about you, though.
Oh, you didn't?
No, not that. Like, literally, I had the same thought with the house.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, we could go across to each other.
Yes.
All right. So let's move on to our next segment, which is about ghosting, texting, and social media stalking.
Okay, I'm ready. Bring it.
Okay, so let's just tell the audience. Do you want to tell the audience what ghosting is, or you want me to tell them?
Well, okay, my idea of ghosting is I am conversing with someone. Usually I feel like it is in a romantic sense. I feel like friends could also ghost too, though.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden you just stop communicating with them, and a lot of times the other person has no idea why. Well, maybe I'm sure that they probably have some ideas, but you just stop communication cold turkey, pretty much.
I agree, 100%.
Right?
If my terms would be just all communication stopped abruptly, and there's no explanation as to why. It just stopped.
Yes.
So, have you ever ghosted anyone?
Yes.
You want to share?
Several occasions. I'm not, looking back now, I'm not proud about it.
Okay.
Because now I really value communication, even when it's difficult too. I don't tend to shy away from difficult conversations, especially when I value someone. So even if I don't see us carrying on in the future, at one point I did value you, and I still do to a certain capacity. But I think it's important to communicate that to that person instead of just leaving them high and dry, and then they're like wondering, or they're literally talking to themselves in your text messages. That's not fair. So as I've gotten older, I really try not to do that. And to communicate as to why I'm either taking a step back or just not communicating as often with them.
Cool. Do you think it's ever okay to ghost someone, like, at all?
I mean, yeah, there's certain exceptions.
Like?
Well, I mean, I feel like if someone is in like a really serious situation, if there's like abuse involved in any form, yes, ghost that person and leave them and be done with it. You don't owe them anything. I'm sure there's other situations too. I don't know. What do you think?
I've ghosted someone before, but I think they deserved it. And I think it was,
how so?
It was somebody from, so back to those Atlanta dates, because that was probably the only time in my life that I've ever tried anything off, like taken anything off an app. Like, I've been on an app on and off in the past, but I've never actually meet up with anyone, which I think is like, I don't know why I did it, but whatever. The point is, when I was in Atlanta, that was the only time I actually thought about like meeting people and actually attempted to meet people off the app.
Yeah.
And I was communicating with this guy. Actually, I've done that a couple times now that I think about it, but I'll explain. The one guy in Georgia, he got weird. Like, the messages, like, there's certain things that I feel like are turnoffs in conversations, and he was kind of turning me off. Like, don't love bomb me. So I can see through the
BS.
The BS. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, no. So I stopped talking to him. And he actually, like, I don't know if he changed his number, got a different number to try to reach out to me. And then he, like, tried to be verbally abusive in those messages. Like, I believe I had to, like, call the police and, like, report him to them because it got really scary. Like, I'd never met him in person, but it was just giving me really weird vibes. Like, he was going to try to find me or something.
See, that's what I mean about following the gut.
Yeah.
Your gut knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely
if y'all have never met and then he's talking to you like that.
Never.
No.
All we had was like text messages, and I was like, oh yeah, this is crazy. So that was like the end of the dating app thing for me in Georgia. But then there was this guy I met when I moved to South Florida. I was living in West Palm, and I met this guy, I think at a Jamaican restaurant. And, you know, we had exchanged numbers and we were texting. And he also got real weird. Like, he was like sending me pictures of his son and like talking about me being like the son's stepmom. And I'm just like, dude, I just met you. Like, you're doing a little too much. Like, don't get me wrong, I love children. Love to be anybody's stepmom when the time is right. But I think he was just moving way too fast. And I was just like, slow down. And he just wasn't getting it. So I just stopped talking to him. And then he got really weird. So I don't know. I'm like, maybe my ghosting is like setting off. It's setting something off in their heads. Yeah.
Yeah. And now that I'm listening to you talk about things too, I think most times when I ghost someone, it's because I'm turned off.
Yeah.
And I've probably already said to you, I don't like this thing that you're doing, or maybe calling attention to it somehow. And then you continue to do it. I'm not going to keep repeating myself.
Absolutely.
So I should probably communicate. Let me not say should. Do I have a choice to communicate, and should I exercise that choice? Probably.
Yeah.
However, usually I'm out. Yeah. Like, I'm not wasting any more time and energy on that.
I think ghosting, when used appropriately, I think it's okay.
Yeah. Have you ever got ghosted?
That's going to be my next question for you, but I'll go first.
Yeah, please do, because when we were talking about this, I started racking my brain. I'm like, huh. But yeah, no, I want to hear.
I feel like I've gotten ghosted, like temporarily ghosted, but then like resurfaced before, which I feel is like, what was the point? But you want to know what's funny that ended up being, like, of course I ended up finding out the reason, but I feel like guys tend to ghost. I'm speaking from my experience. Ghost me when there's something that they don't want to reveal to me yet because they don't know how it's going to affect the relationship. So instead of being like forthcoming and like coming to me and saying, hey, this is what happened or this is what's going on, they just pull back. And then when they feel a little more comfortable to talk about it, then, you know, here they come wanting to have a conversation. I'm just like, you could have told me that.
Yeah.
What's the point? How about you?
I'm trying to think. I don't think I've been flat out ghosted like I've done people and just stop. But kind of similar to you, whereas they'll kind of go ghost for a certain time period and then they'll come back and be like, I couldn't communicate this or, you know, whatever scenario was happening in their life. Usually by that time, I'm like, okay, great. Thank you for telling me. But at that point, I'm uninterested. And now you've shown me that you can't communicate and work through a difficult time. If we're supposed to be building a partnership, then no matter how hard it is to be able to communicate, that's like a really important part of having a relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, similar. They usually spin the block.
I was about to say, I don't think I've ever had somebody just like dead out ghost me and I never heard from them ever again in life. I feel like women ghost.
This is so horrible.
Like, I feel like women, we ghost men in that way, but men tend to like spin the block. Would you agree?
Yes. No, not all the time. I think in our scenarios, that's what we've experienced, but I don't think that is the case all the time. Because I do feel like I'm trying to think. I'm pretty certain I've had girlfriends tell me about stories, and they're so confused as to why this person won't respond to their text messages, their calls, whatever. Yeah, maybe if I had more time to think about it, I could think of someone, but I don't think that has happened to me before.
Yeah. Well, thank God we
I
haven't
know,
really
'cause,
been.
like, that's horrible to be on
Yeah.
the receiving end of that, which is why I stopped doing that, because it's not fair.
Absolutely.
And if I'm wanting communication, I need to also give that.
Yeah, I think it's fair and respectful. But again, sometimes there's people that you can have those rational conversations with,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's like deserving.
Yeah.
Just be
you
like,
gotta
cut all
go.
ties. Go about your business, sir.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about texting back.
Okay.
So, when your partner has texted you,
Uh-huh.
and it's something that you might not have the right words for, are you the type of texter that you get the message, you analyze it, you'll start to respond,
Mm-hmm.
you delete your message, you retype it, or are you the type that send it to the group chat and be like, what y'all think about this?
No. Well,
Or
no.
you straight respond?
No to the second part in terms of sending it to a group chat. No.
Okay.
I'm usually, not that I don't talk about things with like my girlfriends, but I'm very private. I mean, I'll tell them about it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the midst of a situation, I'm not calling anyone in to be like, hey, what do you think of that? What should I say? Like,
Do you have friends that do that?
I feel like I have done that in the past and also had friends do that. Like I'm thinking back to like high school, college time.
Mm-hmm.
And not even all the time, but it's like maybe you're like giddy about something. It's like, oh my God, what should I respond to him? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but now, no. I also think too, if I'm uncertain of what to respond with, or I tend to be more internal when I process things. So I might have to like read the text message and then I'm like, huh, okay, maybe he meant this. And this is how I elaborate on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely someone who overanalyzes though, for sure. So I will be quick to say too in a text conversation, I think this is getting lost in translation. We should probably have this in person or at least over the phone or like FaceTime.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also like to see body language. So I think
Absolutely
a video call is like necessary. If we're going to have like a serious talk about something, if we can't have it in person. But yeah. Why? Are you sending it to the group chat?
No, but I've definitely been the friend that has helped other friends craft messages, responses, because I think sometimes everyone's not good with their words.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things do get lost in translation. And sometimes it takes another set of eyes to just be like, you know what? You might not have the best, like they may have the best intentions, but you don't think that they do. So your perception of them don't allow you to see their intent, because messages get misconstrued all the time.
Yeah.
So sending it to someone else to be like, hey, you read this, let me know what you think and how I should go about responding. So I'm definitely the friend that be like, yeah, don't say that. Please say this instead.
I think I'm in that same role as you for the most part.
Yeah.
And not everyone in my life, but there's definitely a select few that will be like, he just texted me this. I'm about to say this. And I'm like, immediately, okay, don't say that. Let's reel it back in a little bit. Let's think about this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you tend to get that more so from your female friends or your guy friends?
But definitely my female friends, I think. Yeah. But now I'm trying to think. I have had some of my male friends ask me, what do you think she meant by this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've probably done that with my male friends too, to gain like that insight. So I think at some point we probably all have like, I'm a little stumped. Like, can you give me a little insight? Now, whether or not I take that is a different story. But I think sometimes it's good to have another person's perspective when you're trying to like figure some things out. Not over like super serious things though. That's usually just a conversation between you and that person.
I feel like I'm kind of open on that because depending on the relationship that I have with the person that I'm going to about it, because I know I specifically have like relationships with people where I can be totally transparent about my relationship and what's going on, and I can give and get unbiased, you know, feedback.
Yeah.
So I do think in certain aspects, regardless of how deep it is, because we don't always see like how we present to our partner, but someone on the outside, especially me who's like so strong-minded about certain things, like I know sometimes it takes someone else saying, hey, you're doing a little much, I'm gonna need you to rethink this.
Wheel it in here.
Yeah. Like I think I need that sometimes from, you know, someone that's close to me that understands me.
Yeah.
And it's not my partner. It's just another outside opinion.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yep. All right, let's talk about social media stalking.
Okay.
Have you ever stalked someone on social media?
Yeah, who hasn't?
Someone that you're interested in, of course.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Okay, I feel like... Wow, I'm really showing my true colors here. I feel like with anyone, you need to do your homework to a certain extent. I don't know. Some people are completely against that, and it's like, okay, what you show me is what you show me, and that's that. I could be a CIA agent, honestly. So yeah, if I'm interested in someone too, especially, it's like I want to deep dive and do research and like see, but I'll only take it so far. It's like I'm gathering this information, but it's like at the end of the day, your actions are going to show me
who you are,
how you are as a person. So it's like, I don't want to say it's for fun, but like kind of. It's just for fun, you know?
I would say for me personally, I don't stalk on social media anymore. Anymore. Okay. Like I feel like I may have done that like way back when I was younger, but even like me and my partner, we don't follow each other's social media.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, like I don't care to see what you're doing on social media. Like, it's not that important to me. It's either I know who you are, because sometimes I feel like social media only shows like one side of a person. So even if you're looking at somebody's social media, you're not getting the whole picture. You looking at someone in their highlights, and you don't realize this person is a workaholic. You don't realize that this person is absent most of the time, or if they're, you know, a serial cheater, or you don't find those things out unless you're actually with the person. Yeah. So I just don't get the value. And it could also, I mean, I kind of feel like my job over the years has always been to investigate people and do background and find out all their business. Like I've done that to neighbors just to know who they were, who I was living next to, and find out all their business. But that's because that's what I used to do for work. So to me, it was just like, do I really want to dig that deep into someone, like, especially if I feel like I have access to you in person? Do I need to do that? I just don't find the value in it anymore. So I don't.
Yeah. And now that you say that, I mean, I haven't dated anyone in a while, but I'm trying to think like the last time that I really, I guess, like did a deep dive on someone. Because like you said, it's really just someone's highlights. And they can present any way that they want to you. It could not even be anywhere. It's not their real life. Their real life. It's just what they want to present. So, but it's not just on social media. Like sometimes when you do like the research.
Well, I feel like the research isn't bad, but I mean like social media stalking. Like I'm not trying to see where this person is, what this person is doing. Like I don't feel the need to do that. Like, of course, there's certain things you want to know about your partner. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But just the social media stuff, I don't care. While you were stalking, have you ever accidentally liked? You know how you accidentally double tap an old photo or video?
Guilty. That has happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I can catch it fast enough, I'll take it back super fast. But they might still get that notification. So, but it also depends on who it is. It like sometimes I'll leave it. Like, yeah, I was creeping and well, you know,
I wanted to see what your life is about. All right, let's move on to the next topic.
Okay.
And this is something that we actually did today.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to talk about dating your friends.
Yes, I had so much fun doing that today, actually.
So today, we met up with my best friend, and we had a little date, which I really enjoyed, right?
It was fun getting all three of us together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Okay. So I think when it comes to Valentines and relationships and love and dating, like I think we only tend to look at it in like a romantic way. But what I have realized or come to realize is that we also need to date our friends because just as much energy that we're putting into our romantic relationships, our friends not only deserve, but should get that from us as well. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And just kind of based on our conversation earlier, I think before I didn't realize that I've dated my friends or I'm actively dating my friends. I just wasn't looking at it like that. But there's plenty of times where I make sure like, okay, I'm at least going once at the bare minimum once a month to go out to eat with one of my girlfriends so that we're catching up. We can have a little fun, relax, and, you know, just spend that time together. I do think I could kick it up a notch, though, in certain areas and with certain friends, because I think, you know, different friends require different things, just based on their attachment styles. And I think also just the things that they have going on in their life, like how they choose to set their life up. So not everyone has the same amount of time, energy, capacity for certain things. But I also think that's important to communicate that, especially in your adult relationships, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we're in high school and you're in my same class, so I'm going to be friends with you. It's like, no, you're actively choosing your friends.
Correct.
Now that you're not in college, you're in your adult life.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And, you know, when you brought up attachment styles, that is obviously a big part of what helps us determine what level of attention we need to give to a particular friend. Like, you and I are friends, and we've been friends for almost 11 years now, but we don't have to talk every week. We don't have to talk every 2 weeks. We can talk once a month, or even there's been times where we didn't talk for months maybe, and that did nothing to destroy our relationship. It changed nothing. But then there are friends like my best friend who has a totally different attachment style, and she needs that. And I remember she called me one day and she literally said to me that she needed me to reach out to her more. Like, you know, she, at that point in time, she was the one that was like doing a lot of like the reaching out. And I know personally, I tend to get in my own little zone sometimes, and I might not speak to anyone. And I'm totally fine and I'm totally okay. I'm not upset with anyone.
Same.
I'm just in my little cocoon.
Yeah.
And if someone calls me, I'm definitely going to answer. But for me to pick up the phone, it's not innately something that I do.
Yeah.
So I have to make a conscious effort to do that. And for her, that's a need. For me, not so much. Like, if we don't talk, I'm okay. I
Yeah.
know you still love me. I know you care, and you'll reach out when you're ready. But she needed that. And that's something that it like stuck with me. And maybe I don't do it all the time, but it definitely is something that comes back to my mind all the time. Like, oh, she needs me to call her.
Yeah.
She needs me to check in. So at least there's not a week that goes by that we don't speak, and even multiple times a week. And even if it's a message, or when I was on other social media, we send things all the time. But I feel like she's also the type that you need to pick up the phone and call her, because that's something that works for her. So knowing what your friends need and how to satisfy that, because at the end of the day, if it was your man that needed that, you would do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is my friend, this is someone that I love and I care about. So if they're saying that this is a need, I should be working hard at fulfilling that. So
Yeah, I think it's really important to keep those lines of communication open. Just like if you are in a romantic partnership, like you are going to be, I would think, communicating with your partner what your needs are, especially if they're not being met, or if they're being met and you love that and you're like, I love that you do this, you know? So, I think with friendships though, we tend to almost like shy away from that a lot of times, or we don't feel as comfortable talking about what we would like from our friends, and just kind of like accept it, or maybe we just are not as close during certain periods. But I would encourage people to say that if you're not having your needs met, but you would like this person in your life more or less, or whatever the case is,
right.
There's both sides of the spectrum. I think it's important to communicate that and come to some sort of compromise, just like you would in a romantic relationship, or even like in a workplace relationship.
Absolutely.
There's so many times that we're giving and taking and trying to find middle ground with things.
So just like relationships, do you think that at some point it's good to have like check-ins with your friend to see where you guys are, and whether it's something that you still need to continue to do? Or is it okay to just walk away if it's not beneficial anymore to be friends?
Currently, I don't think I'm trying to, like, I don't think I check in with my friends and be like, hey, do you need more from me? How do you feel about our relationship? I'm trying to think if I've ever done that, to be honest. It's like really jogging my memory now. I think that that's probably needed in any relationship to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, it obviously doesn't need to be anything like formal.
No.
But I think if you're being intentional about communicating with that friend or spending time with that friend, or anyone, any relationship that you have, at some point you're going to talk about your relationship and maybe where it was at one point and the space that you're in now and the space that you would like to move into. So yeah, I think that that's important to have check-ins. It's really making me rethink how I approach my friendships now and how I would like to move forward with some of my relationships.
I do think that it's something valuable that we should do, especially in times like these where things are just so unpredictable and there's so much changes going on. And, like for me, last year when I was going through like my burnout phase and all that stuff, it just so happened that you and I were communicating a lot last year. So you were fully aware of the things that I was going through, but I don't think a lot of like my friends really knew. But if we were doing check-ins with each other, maybe they would have a bit more insight into what was going on with me. Most people probably didn't know I wasn't at work for a particular amount of time, or, I wasn't on social media for a bit. So I think check-ins is definitely something that's warranted for people that you do want to be a part of your circle.
Same now that you've brought that up. And I think it was very easy for us, although we're both low maintenance and can go a while without talking, we were both experiencing the same thing with the burnout and resigning from our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was easy, it's always easy and organic when we connect. But during that time, it definitely was, because we were both experiencing pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to navigate that. And same, a lot of my friends did not know either. And to be fair, I wasn't even comfortable sharing that with just everyone, because I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to wrap their head around it and be able to support me in a way that I needed, even if they didn't understand my decisions.
But question for you. Did you give them the opportunity to even try?
Some people know.
Right.
And then later on, looking back at that, yes, I did. And I gave people the opportunity, and I was so pleasantly surprised in the way that people showed up for me. So it was really like a light bulb that went off in my head. And although I deem myself low maintenance, I still require something.
Absolutely.
You know, I still need that support and that love. And, but I think a lot of times when people are viewing you as the strong friend, or they don't hear from you and that's the norm, they're just thinking that you're doing your thing.
Everything's
when really,
okay.
You might really be struggling and are not sure how to reach out, because that's not typically how you do things. So, yeah, I would agree with you in that. Like, friendship check-ins they probably need to be a must.
It needs to be a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to figure out how to implement friendship check-ins. That's a thing.
Once a quarter.
Oh, that's far. Yeah, I feel like once a month is sufficient. Because a lot can happen in a quarter, girl.
Oh, that was my low maintenance speaking.
Exactly. So we finally moved on to the question and answer segment, where you get to ask me questions and I get to ask you some questions. Okay. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll ask one first, if that's okay.
That's fine.
This is kind of like a would you rather situation. If you had to choose between a partner with outstanding financial literacy but low emotional intelligence, or they have a really high EQ, very high emotional intelligence, but low financial literacy, who would you choose?
Give me the person with the low financials, because I'll take care of the financial part. Give me the emotional intelligence, please. Because it's bad enough that, or it's harder, in my opinion, for men to be in touch with their emotions. So when you find somebody that's emotionally intelligent, gravitate towards that person. So, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Same. I think you probably knew that. I also feel like, not to say that you cannot teach to a certain extent emotional intelligence. Like, there's absolutely certain things that can help you to have a greater awareness of yourself and how you interact with people. But I think it's much easier to teach financial literacy and help someone with that versus the flip side. We're getting a little spicy. Are you ready?
I like spicy. Let's hear it.
Okay. If you had to surprise your partner, would you show up in lingerie, or would you show up in a trench coat with nothing underneath?
I would show up in a trench coat with nothing underneath. Like, what's the point? There's nothing to take off other than the trench coat. Lingerie could get a little complicated. Yep. And I'm sure he would rather just take a trench coat off.
I feel like it adds like a little shock factor too, because normally people wouldn't be expecting that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I have like a naughty little secret under here. Okay, what is your favorite non-sexual characteristic or act that a partner does that you really like?
So for me, I love to travel. You know that. being in the sky is my happy place. And the fact that I can be with someone that I could say, hey, I need to go away for X amount of time. I'll be back. And I have that leeway to do that. I'm not feeling guilty. They're not guilt tripping me.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And you feel like secure in your partnership while you're away.
I do.
Everything's going to be fine.
That's something that I truly realize that I value in the relationship that I have, because I've had other partners in the past, even my ex-husband. I know for a fact that's not something that he would be okay with, which, you know, to each his own. Maybe he'll be okay with something else that my current partner wouldn't be. But I love the fact that my partner gives me that autonomy to live the life that is fulfilling for me, because he realized traveling for me is something that I love to do. Of course, it would be a lot easier and a lot more fun if we could travel together a lot more. But, you know, I have that leeway and I love that.
Yeah. I love that for you, that he allows you that time and space to go explore on your own. Okay.
How about you? I want to know your answer.
If they're driving and they put their hand on my thigh, puddle. Immediate puddle. Like, and like I said, it's not anything like sexual.
Right.
It's just like, it's almost like maybe like a dominance or something.
Physical touch sometimes that does something. Like forehead kisses, for example.
Yes.
Or even like that from behind hug kind of thing, right? It's like it's a connection that it might not be so in depth or it doesn't require too much, but it's just the fact that that connection's there is crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And then my last one is leading me through a crowd. Like if you grab my hand and lead me through a crowd. Yeah. Again. Hello. That is and I think that it's like speaks to more of like what I guess I'm attracted to in a person in general, is like that leadership quality.
Absolutely.
So yeah. How do you like to show that you care to one of your friends?
To me, I feel like depending on the friendship, like I think spending time, and especially for me, someone that doesn't live very close to a lot of my friends, like I feel like when I come here, just making time for each person is important to me, because I know it's important to them. Even if it's just to go to dinner or to hang out, or, you know, go to an event together, like coming to your birthday when you turn 30.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. That was so special to me.
Yeah. But I love to show up for people in that sense, because I feel like regardless of anything, time is the most expensive currency that we have. Yes. Regardless of what I could buy you or give you or pay for you for whatever, you're going to remember Jackie was there for my birthday, or Jackie surprised me for this, or Jackie showed up for that. So when I'm not able to, it definitely, it hurts me when I can't show up. So time is currency for me.
Well, I also just want to give you your flowers, because you are extremely intentional about showing up for your people. Yeah. And as someone in your circle, I can say that that's always been felt.
Thank you.
So yeah, so thank you, because that is very special, and seeing you always make that effort is, I can't compare it to anything else, because it's just like, yeah, I just love you.
It. Listen, I genuinely love my friends, and I love how you guys love me back. And I think I started to realize it when I was going through therapy last year. Because remember, I came up here, and within like a day or two or something, all of you guys came together. My sister.
Oh, yeah.
You, Renee, Danny, Tamara, like all of y'all. came
And
together.
You had no idea.
I had absolutely no clue.
That was the most fun part. I can't speak for everyone else, but just the energy that I got from everyone is we were so excited to surprise you for once and really like put something together for you and show up for you.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know that we were going to.
No.
So it was just, it was
I
very
did not.
special.
Trust me when I say I so appreciate that. And it, I was telling my therapist about it and I was just like, because that whole year or part of the year, I was going through that period where I'm like, I don't feel like my people care that much or show up that much. And it was just like, oh, they actually do love me.
Yeah.
They actually did this. And you guys actually thought I saw you when I came into the restaurant.
I was like, how did she miss us?
When you're not expecting people to be there, like I was not even paying attention. I was just in La La Land.
Yeah.
And literally, oh my gosh. I so appreciate
that. Was such a fun birthday, honestly, that birthday dinner. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was really happy that we got together to do that.
It was last minute, but even down to the cake. I was like, how did y'all get a cake? Like, what?
That cake was delicious.
It was. We need to get Renee to get a cake or something.
I know, right?
Yeah. That was amazing. But yeah. I think the fact that, and it just speaks to the fact that we are the type of friends that show up for each other.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. So, flowers to you too, girl.
Thanks.
My turn?
Yes, okay. I'm in the hot seat now.
First date.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee in the morning or drink at night?
Drink at night. I'm not a big coffee person. I mean, I will do it. I'm also not a morning person, though. I like to ease in the day, and I don't want anyone talking to me before 10 a.m. if I can help it.
Texting all day or a phone call all night?
It kind of depends on my mood. I do enjoy texting sometimes to let you know that, like, you're thinking about me. However, I'm not going to be texting all day every day. I would prefer a phone call if we're going to, like, really be talking and engaging like that. Yeah. So phone call, I would say.
Okay. Public proposal or private?
Private.
Why?
Private, but if they invited my, like, closest friends and family, I would be okay with that for sure. Like, if it was a surprise. But if it's just at a random place and I have all these onlookers and eyes on me, no. What would you pick for that one? I'm curious.
I'm a private person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it can be in a public place, like a public setting, but in a private space, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you still don't have like all those eyes on you at one time.
Correct.
Could you imagine if you said no?
That would be very awkward.
It would be, I feel like, devastating for the person that asked.
Well, don't do that. You should know if your partner is going to say yes or no. If you had to choose, would you be on Married at First Sight?
Oh, God.
Love is Blind? Or the ultimate? Wait, have you seen Love is Blind?
I've seen Love is Blind and Married at First Sight.
Which would you want to be on? If you had to be on one of those shows to find your love.
I'd probably say Love is Blind because you get to have dates and ask questions to get to know the person. You just can't see them.
Mm-hmm.
And also, too, you can tell each other, like, your physical stuff, like how you look, like your physical features. But I think a lot of times, like, they choose not to. So it's, like, really...
Yeah, it's supposed to be blind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas Married at First Sight, you're trusting it to people that... they really only know what you're telling them. And if, like, I'm not trusting that to people.
You know what, though? I feel like dependent on the situation, just because I know how my relationship started, like how I found out about my current partner was from someone I used to work with at my job. And they had met him when he was a teenager. And she was just like, I think you guys would be great together.
Okay, but see, like, that's, like, the old way of, like a blind date. Yeah, but I could get with that, but not on a TV show.
What he looked like. This lady just told me he would be perfect for me.
Oh. Huh.
Interesting, right?
That is interesting.
So I kind of did like a whole Love is Blind
Yeah.
experiment without knowing.
Interesting. Okay, so you have technically been on a blind date then.
Yeah, kind of.
Trying to think if I've ever been on a blind date where I literally knew nothing about the person and didn't know what they look like. I don't think I have. I feel like I've at least
process.
been like shown. I know, maybe I should put my dating life or
maybe you need to go on a show.
Lack thereof in the hands of someone else. All right, calling all my friends and acquaintances if you think I would be a great match with someone else.
Let us know.
Let them know so they can take me on a blind date. Thank you.
All right. Well, this has been a really fun episode.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you asked me to be a part of this today.
You enjoyed it?
I did, yes.
Okay. I had fun. As my first guest, I really appreciate you being here, being honest and upfront and open and real. So thank you.
I tried my best to be my authentic self today.
Absolutely. All right. So before we close, give me one piece of advice, whether it's for friendship or relationship, that you swear by.
This may come across as a little self-centered, but I don't mean it like that at all. I think it's really important for your friendships and your romantic partnerships to date yourself. I think that allows you time and space to explore your interests, your hobbies, without having influence from anyone that's in your life currently. And then I think it allows space for you to have people join you in those things that you really enjoy. But I think a lot of times people are nervous to kind of go out and do solo things. And so it prevents them from really finding out kind of what makes them tick and what brings them joy, especially in your adult life. I feel like you have to be very intentional about finding things that bring you joy, in creating certain opportunities for you to just have fun. So I would say date yourself, and then you can always invite other people to join you on your dates. And then you have a friend date or a romantic date.
Hey, you know what? That's a good idea. Start off by yourself.
Yeah.
And then incorporate the friendship dates. That ties right back into this episode. And then, that romantic date.
Exactly.
Balance all three. I like that.
What is yours? What is your advice?
This piece of advice I received when I was in my early 20s. This actually came from my now ex-husband's mom. She's no longer alive, but this was something that stuck with me. And when I say I was young, I was like early 20s, maybe 21, 22, 23, somewhere around there. And her name was Miss Pat. Miss Pat said to me one day, if it don't fit, don't force it. And that's what relationships, that's what friendships, like romantic relationships, friendships, jobs, it doesn't matter what it is. If it don't fit, don't force it.
So simple and so profound, because that's so all-encompassing.
That is something that I could, like, to this day.
Yeah.
That a piece of advice is almost 20 years old. And I've never forgotten it. Ever. So
I feel like I'm going to have that in the back of my head now.
That's good stuff there.
Great advice.
That was good advice from her, considering I was dating her son. And she was like, Jackie?
Who knew that would come back around in the way that it did?
Listen, exactly. And look, hey, I should have followed her advice the first time. Look where it got me.
It's okay.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, this has been great. I think we should do this again for sure.
You might have me on board for another show. This was very fun. I can't say it would be this way with anyone else. I think it was fun because it's with you. And I truly enjoy and cherish our friendship so much. So I'm really glad that I got to do this with you.
So that's a wrap on today's episode. So whether this week you're celebrating Valentine's Day by yourself, with your girlfriends, or you may just be rolling your eyes at the whole thing altogether, enjoy your week regardless. Maybe it's time to start dating yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if it really made you feel the love, go ahead and leave that 5-star rating. If you'd like to share your funny or horrific dating stories, please DM me at fstt.podcast on TikTok. If you'd like to connect with Renee, you can reach her on Instagram at Rebirth with Renee. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Renee, for coming through, and I will see you in the next episode.